Did you know that over 50% of people experience nightmares? These unsettling dreams can be so vivid that they leave a lasting impression on our minds. These vivid, unsettling dreams can leave us breathless and afraid. The fear lingers, making it hard to shake off the feeling even after waking up. Why are we drawn to these feelings of fear? What is it about the unknown and the eerie that captivates us so deeply? Horror stories provide a safe space to explore these emotions. They allow us to experience fear in a controlled environment where we know we are ultimately safe. They tap into our primal instincts, forcing us to confront the darkness that lurks within us all. This confrontation can be both terrifying and thrilling. Horror stories thrive on anxiety and fear. They build a sense of dread, making us question what might be lurking around the next corner. They play with our expectations, building tension with every sentence. Each creak, each shadow adds to the suspense. We are caught in a web of suspense, dreading what might jump out from the shadows. The anticipation is almost as intense as the fear itself. This fear, while unsettling, can be strangely exhilarating. It's a rush of adrenaline that makes us feel alive. It's a roller coaster ride for our emotions. We scream, we gasp, and in the end, we can't wait to do it all over again. Let's dive into the abyss with two chilling tales that will send shivers down your spine. The first story takes place in a forgotten graveyard where the silence is deafening and the air is thick with mystery. A young woman named Anya visits her grandmother's grave, seeking solace and connection with her past. The air grows heavy, and a cold mist envelops the graveyard. Anya feels a cold hand on her shoulder, sending a chill down her spine. She turns to find a decaying figure with hollow eyes staring back at her, its presence both terrifying and sorrowful. Our second story follows a lone traveller named James, who wanders through a dark forest, lost and seeking refuge. He seeks shelter in an abandoned cabin during a raging storm, hoping to find safety from the relentless elements. The windows rattle violently, and the wind howls through the trees, creating an eerie symphony of nature's fury. James hears faint whispers coming from the boarded-up basement, their origins unknown and unsettling. Curiosity gets the better of him. He slowly descends the creaking steps into the darkness, lantern in hand, as the whispers grow louder. Anya screams, but the sound dies in the stillness of the graveyard, swallowed by the oppressive silence that surrounds her. The figure leans in, its breath a putrid stench that makes her gag. She can feel its cold presence, chilling her to the bone. "You should not be here," it rasps, its voice like nails on a chalkboard, sending shivers down her spine. Anya stumbles back, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She can barely breathe, her fear suffocating her. She runs through the graveyard, the figure's laughter echoing behind her, a haunting melody that seems to follow her every step. Meanwhile, James reaches the bottom of the stairs, his heart racing with anticipation and dread. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth and decay, a nauseating combination that makes him want to turn back. He fumbles for his lighter, the flame flickering to life, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The basement is empty. Relieved, James turns to leave, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He freezes. Scrawled on the wall behind him in what appears to be dried blood is a message. "You shouldn't be here, now you'll never leave." His blood runs cold as he realizes the gravity of his situation. Yes, the story doesn't end there. Anya, trembling and drenched in sweat, tries to convince herself it was just a nightmare, but deep down she knows it was real. She locks every door and window, but the fear gnaws at her. Suddenly her phone buzzes. It's a message from an unknown number. The text reads, "You can't run from your fate." Anya's breath catches in her throat. She tries to call James, but there's no answer. Panic sets in. She decides to go back to the graveyard, hoping to find some answers. As she steps out into the night, the wind howls and the shadows seem to dance around her. She reaches the graveyard, her heart pounding. The figure is nowhere to be seen. But then she notices something she hadn't before. A gravestone with her name on it, freshly carved. Meanwhile, James is still in the basement, trying to find a way out. He stumbles upon an old, dusty journal. Flipping through the pages, he discovers it belonged to the previous owner of the house, who mysteriously disappeared. The last entry sends chills down his spine. The shadows are alive. They whisper secrets of the damned. I fear I'm next. James realizes they are dealing with something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. He needs to warn Anya. He rushes out of the basement, only to find the house eerily silent. His phone buzzes with a message. You can't save her. She belongs to us now. In a desperate attempt, James races to the graveyard, hoping to find Anya. As he approaches, he sees her standing in front of the gravestone, tears streaming down her face. She turns to him, her eyes wide with terror. James, we need to leave now. But it's too late. The shadows around them begin to move, closing in. The air grows colder, and a sinister laughter fills the night. They're not alone. The figure from Anya's nightmare steps out of the darkness, its eyes glowing with malevolence. Welcome to your new home, it whispers, as the shadows envelop them both. Gap 3's horror stories give us a taste of the unknown. They thrill us, frighten us, and stay with us long after the story is over. Do you have a terrifying tale that haunts your dreams? Share it in the comments below. Let's explore the darkness together. Gap 3's. As the shadows envelop Anya and James, the world around them shifts. They find themselves in a dimly lit, ancient-looking room filled with old furniture and cobwebs. The air is thick with dust and the scent of decay. Anya clutches James's hand tightly, trying to make sense of their new surroundings. James notices an old, ornate mirror on the wall. As they approach it, the reflection shows not just them, but also faint, ghostly figures standing behind them. Anya gasps, her grip on James tightening even more. The figures in the mirror begin to move, their faces twisted in agony and despair. Suddenly, a door creaks open on the other side of the room. Anya and James exchange a fearful glance, but know they have no choice but to investigate. They step through the door and find themselves in a long corridor lined with portraits. The eyes in the paintings seem to follow their every move. At the end of the corridor, they come across a large wooden door with strange symbols carved into it. James pushes it open and they enter what appears to be a library. The room is filled with ancient books and manuscripts. On a pedestal in the center of the room lies an old leather-bound book. Anya picks it up and begins to read. The book tells the tragic story of a family cursed by a malevolent spirit. Each generation has been haunted, driven mad, and eventually claimed by the shadows. Anya realizes with horror that the gravestone she saw earlier is part of this curse. The book's last page is a warning. The curse can only be broken by confronting the spirit and reclaiming the light. Determined to end the nightmare, Anya and James decide to confront the malevolent figure. As they leave the library, the shadows around them grow darker and more oppressive. They retrace their steps to the room with the mirror, where the ghostly figures now seem to be reaching out to them. Anya takes a deep breath and calls out to the spirit, demanding it show itself. The room grows colder, and the shadows coalesce into the terrifying figure from the graveyard. Its eyes burn with hatred as it steps forward. Gap 3's horror stories give us a taste of the unknown. They thrill us, frighten us, and stay with us long after the story is over. Do you have a terrifying tale that haunts your dreams? Share it in the comments below. Let's explore the darkness together. Gap 3's. The room is silent, the air thick with tension as the malevolent spirit advances towards Anya and James. Anya feels the weight of the family's curse pressing down on her, but she knows they must confront the spirit to break free. James stands by her side, his eyes locked on the terrifying figure. With a trembling voice, Anya speaks. We know your story, we understand your pain, but this ends now. The spirit pauses, its burning eyes flickering with a glimmer of recognition. Anya and James hold their ground, unwavering. The spirit's form begins to waver, its hatred momentarily giving way to sorrow. Anya takes a step forward. You were wronged, but continuing this curse only brings more suffering. Let us help you find peace. The room grows colder, the shadows swirling around them in a frenzy. The spirit lets out a guttural wail, a sound that echoes through the ancient walls. For a moment it seems as if the room itself is alive, reacting to the spirit's torment. James reaches out, holding Anya's hand, lending her his strength. Together they move closer to the spirit. Anya places her free hand on the old ornate mirror, the surface cold and unyielding. "Release us," she whispers, her voice steady and resolute. "Release yourself." The spirit's form shudders, its eyes dimming. The shadows begin to recede, and for the first time a sense of calm washes over the room. The spirit's figure fades, leaving behind only a faint, sorrowful whisper. Anya and James stand in the now silent room, the oppressive darkness lifting. They look at each other, relief and exhaustion etched on their faces. The curse is broken, and the spirits are finally at peace. Gap 3S. Horror stories give us a taste of the unknown. They thrill us, frighten us, and stay with us long after the story is over. Do you have a terrifying tale that haunts your dreams? Share it in the comments below. Let's explore the darkness together. Here's the twist. Anya escapes the graveyard. She races home, the image of the decaying figure seared into her mind. But when she reaches her house, she finds her front door ajar. Inside, written on the mirror in what looks like mud, it's a child's drawing. It's Anya and the figure from the graveyard. Horror stories give us a taste of the unknown. They thrill us, frighten us, and stay with us long after the story is over. Do you have a terrifying tale that haunts your dreams? Share it in the comments below. Let's explore the darkness together.